What is the essence of justice? All right, everyone. Good to see you out there. Hope you're having a great day. I'm Thomas, and welcome to my channel. I do educational videos on many different topics. Right now, we're smack dab in the middle of a unit or a series of videos that I'm doing on the tree of life. I'll actually, when all is said and done, I'll be doing 144 separate videos on the different minor aspects of the tree, and then a handful of other videos on, various ephemera related to the tree. The reason why I work on the tree so much is because I think it's a fundamental and foundational structure that is important to have as we move into other subjects that we are going to be studying. So the tree, if we can learn the tree well enough, then the other subjects become easy, accessible, and assimilable and rememberable. So that's why we're going to start with a tree. The tree is an ancient diagram. It goes all the way back to ancient Egypt, if not before. The Hebrews used it and still do. The Satanist groups use it a lot. OTO and so on use tree of life to manipulate you. And that's another reason to learn how to use it, because if you know how it works, then it makes you a lot harder to manipulate. So it's for self-defense as well. And the tree of life has 12 different major categories. Like I said, 144 minor categories. So we're going to look at the major categories of the tree first, and then we'll look at one specific minor category kind of as an example. That's what we do in each one of these videos. So you can see the tree of life here. Don't mind the fact that it's dog-eared and everything. That's kind of how it should be. And really, your best bet on really learning the tree is by making a diagram yourself, whether you do it freehand or whether you do it with a compass and a straight edge. Make a copy of the diagram, and that way it gets into your memory. That's really how this thing works. It's an elaborate mnemonic device, and you really have to work with your subconscious or your memory to get it in there, and be able to access it. Then once you do that, then you can fit all the other experiences of your life onto it, and it gives you perspective, it gives you priorities, and it gives you an easy form of recall to access all these different subjects, because many of the subjects of the Great Awakening and the subjects that I'm be presenting in this course or on this channel are difficult subjects. So you got to take all the resources you have at your disposal to make them easier. Okay, now we can see that the tree has 10 different circles here, which we call spheres, that are numbered 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. There is a dotted circle here called the abyss, and then there is a 0 above the tree. So that is a total of 12 different categories, and they each represent more or less a faculty of consciousness, or a mode of consciousness, an element of consciousness, an ability of consciousness, and the whole tree itself is more or less like a map of consciousness. Okay, so when we start with the 10th sphere, this is where we start with life, and we evolve in this direction. The creator of the universe created the tree in this direction. And so the creation goes this way, and the evolution back to the creator goes this way. So the object is to kind of move up the tree as we evolve. And a lot of times we forget about that. So the 10th sphere here is our survival, our instinct, our wild animal consciousness. This is kill or be killed, the state of nature, the law of the jungle, fight or flight response. It's also our life force, the lower aspect of our life force, our ability to keep ourselves alive even though we're not consciously doing it. We automatically digest our food regardless of whether we're consciously doing it or not. We automatically, our heart beats. We don't have to, monitor our heart all the time to keep it going. Not until we actually invert the 10th sphere. Then when we invert the 10th sphere, which is the defilements and lusts of the body, then, we might get addicted to cheeseburgers and French fries, and then we clog up our arteries, and then we do have to get somebody to monitor our heartbeat all the time because we have damaged our life force. So our life force works perfectly as long as we don't defile it or obstruct it through our own lusts and defilements. So that we can do a negative 10th sphere, and then that puts our life force in jeopardy. But our life force operates to keep us alive without our conscious input. Okay, then the 9th sphere is our really domestic animal. This is our domestic consciousness that we get from the home. The first few years of our lives when we're growing up, we are wrapped in attention. We have heightened receptivity. Everything is fascinating to us because it's all so new, and we are intently watching our caregivers and how they behave and what they do, and then we imitate what they do to the extent we can, and then we practice that imitation until we get it right, and then we memorize. So this is the learning cycle here at the 9th sphere. It's a matter of heightened receptivity and then imitation and practice until we get it right, and then memorization. Okay, then the 8th sphere is kind of similar to that. Both of these are really blind. So even though you are picking up habits from your caregivers, but you're not discerning whether those are good or bad. You're just indiscriminately picking these things up. And the 8th sphere has a level of indiscriminateness also, where this is the 9th sphere is about the domestic space, the home. The 8th sphere is about the public spaces. This is what you get when you go out to school, when you go to church, or just when you go to the movies, or if you go to, go out to a public place. Any kind of public place, you go to the state fair or something like that, you will be exposed to the 8th sphere. And the 8th sphere is really our faculties here, our belief systems and our logical faculty. And the 8th sphere also represents the establishment, the institutions. It represents the expert opinion. It represents the conventional wisdom and the consensus worldview. So this is where all the powers that be are located and all the resources are located. And the powers that be are telling us, they're giving us our belief systems. They're telling us what to believe, and they're telling us how to think. And unfortunately, the powers that be are also deceivers and diverters. And so they divert our attention from things that maybe we should be paying attention to, and they deceive us when it's convenient for them. They'll tell us the truth if that's convenient for them, but they will also deceive us if it's convenient for them. And we can flip our 8th sphere over to be a negative 8th sphere when we actually kind of accept blindly what they tell us, especially, like, for example, would be rationalization. We rationalize something that we know isn't true. We have our own experience of this, and then they tell us something contradictory, and we bend over backwards to justify their belief as opposed to ours. So we end up discounting our own experience to be accepted by the A-sphere. And to some extent that is understandable, because the A-sphere is where all the resources are. And the A-sphere has also created this facade that they represent everyone, that like everybody knows that. Like, how can you be so stupid as to say that the emperor has no clothes? You know, when it's everybody knows that the emperor's clothes are beautiful. So, you know, if we do that, we end up kind of getting trapped in the A-sphere, but it's really like a negative A-sphere. If we use the A-sphere positively, then we take it with a grain of salt. We say, okay, you guys are telling me that the emperor wears no clothes, you know, and I know that if I don't say that, I get no resources. So, and I get shunned and I get punished. So I will pretend for your sake that, you know, I'll give lip service to the idea that the emperor is wearing clothes. But in my own mind, I know what's really the truth, and I will, you know, continue on searching for the truth, as opposed to just like settling for what they tell you here. And so you can give lip service, you know, to a minimal degree here at the A-sphere, and then just keep moving, you know, because the A-sphere is not the be-all end-all, which is how it's presented to us. But it's just one of the 12 different faculties that we open up on our evolution, and it's only the third one. So let's move on to the next one and keep our evolution going, while at the same time, like, not, you know, not invoking the A-sphere's wrath so that they start punishing us and shunning us, and, you know, making it so that we don't have access to their resources. Now, if we decide that that's the battle that we're going to fight, the hill that we're going to die on, then, you know, if it's like something very important, then we will stand up for the truth and resist the A-sphere. But if it's just like, you know, don't you like the emperor's new clothes? You know, you can just be like, yeah, they're great. So next question, let's move on. You know, so you know, there's certain battles that hills that we will die on, and then there's certain other issues that we really just can't, you know, spend all our time fighting every battle. Okay, so then we move on to the seventh sphere, where the A-sphere is about the real world. The seventh sphere is about the imaginary world. So at the seventh sphere, we imagine a better A-sphere. We imagine a better, you know, way of doing the A-sphere. And we use our imagination as one of the faculties of the seventh sphere. Also our intuition, which is our, you know, really ability to be curious and to wonder and to go inside with that wonderment and to be able to arrive at answers to our questions. Now, those answers to our questions are correct when we get them from the deep inside, but that doesn't mean that we translate the answers correctly. So we have to verify the intuitions that we get. We also can take advantage of inspiration, other people that have come before us that have motivated us to do the same. We also have at our disposal our creative spark, our ability to turn things into new things that haven't been around before, and our pleasure principle, our ability to create things, to put things together that are pleasing and harmonious. So all of these things can be put together into the creative resource that we use to present an alternative to the A-sphere, whether that is a you know, an essay, or whether it's a song or an invention or other form of intellectual property. These are the things that we come up with at the seventh sphere. And then we can use our intuition, our inspiration, and also our mission, our creative mission, which is, you know, at the eighth sphere, they tell you that you want to be a doctor or a lawyer or a, you know, professional athlete or whatever. And here at the seventh sphere, you tune into your actual, your divine or universal mission, which is to be the very best version of yourself, to really learn yourself, understand yourself, and how you can contribute best to the situation at hand, the universal situation. And so that also gives you the inspiration to keep moving. So when we go up to the sixth sphere, we are going up to the free will faculty, our free will faculty, and this is our essence, and this is our center, this is where we are centered. We are here. But this is our ability to pay attention. Free will is our ability to pay attention and to make decisions. So when we notice that the vast majority of our attention is directed down to the eighth and ninth spheres, and to a lesser extent the 10th and 7th spheres, but our attention is directed down the tree. We use the other aspect of our free will, our ability to make decisions, to turn ourselves around, turn our attention around, and focus our attention on the top of the tree instead of the bottom. That's a scary proposition because this is a relatively unknown area, whereas this is very familiar and a comfort zone. And so if we can stand in the face of fear, we can do this and then direct our attention at the next higher sphere, which is the fifth sphere, which is our sense of justice, which we'll be talking about today. Our sense of justice is really, you know, can we be just with others? How do we measure all that? And this is also known as karma. Karma is really our, the feedback we get on our actions. It's the enforcement of the natural law. So, as you sow, so shall you reap. For every action, there's an equal opposite reaction. And what comes around goes around. And we use this, we can think of this as like a mirror right here. If we're paying attention, when we act, we get feedback. If the feedback isn't up, and karma really grades us according to violence, waste, and violation. And so when we act violently, that's what we get in return. And so if we're paying attention to that, we can clean up our action and use karma as our friend and teacher instead of as our enemy. You know, when we get negative feedback, we can say, hey, what was I doing wrong? And make a better decision. Okay, then when we go to the fourth sphere, it's similar, where the fifth sphere is about the enforcement of the natural law. The fourth sphere is about the articulation of the natural law. The law and order, the natural order of things, the universal law. How do all things, fit together? Where did we come from? What are we doing here? What's the purpose of it all? It's all summarized in cosmologies and also the ancient holy books that purport to tell us how these things happen. Most every culture has at least one of these. Some even individuals have put together these things by themselves. And I believe also the tree of life is another form of cosmology. So, we pay attention to these by studying the different cosmologies. It's better to study many different cosmologies and understand them comparatively, and then also use our intuition to go deep inside and wonder, how do these all fit together? How do I make sense of all these different cosmologies that I've been studying? And you will be able to, if you put enough attention and enough effort into studying them, you'll find that you'll be able to go to another level with your intuition and to really hone in on how you really perceive the truth and the natural order of things. So this is the universal law and also the universal language and the universal love. And then the abyss here is our psychic powers, our ability to more or less to tune into and recognize omens in our lives. These are like anomalies or uncanninesses, things that are very strange, that register in our head. We have to be able to notice that as being something important, not just dismiss it as like, oh, that was weird, but just say, wow, that was weird. That's something I need to pay attention to. And when you pay attention to it again, you end up finding that there's a prescribed course of action also. And so if you can follow up on the action, that is the second part of our psychic powers, which is psychic heat, the ability to act. So there are two parts: psychic receptivity, the ability to notice the omen, and then psychic heat, the ability to act upon the omen. Okay, then we get up to 3, 2, and 1, which are at the top of the tree, and these represent the internal divine aspects. Omnipotence, all-powerful, for 3. 2 is omniscience, all-knowing, or wisdom. And 1 is omnipresence, all-present, all at once, eternally. And so we tap into this through sound and sound synchronization, particularly through chanting and also shamanic rhythms, ecstatic dancing, and probably sacred music, things like that. And then the second sphere, wisdom or omniscience. This is our ability to solve all our problems. And normally, like at the A sphere, we attempt to solve problems by thinking our way out of them. Here, we're doing it by not thinking our way out of them. Because when we not think, when we have thoughts that we, do not follow up on, and we don't follow up on the content of the thoughts, but continue to pay attention to, the object of our meditation, then we can calm the mind to the point that the mind becomes transparent. When the mind becomes transparent, just like a lake that is totally calm, you can see right through it. And then we see through it to the bottom, or the core of the mind, which is our omnipresence, the first sphere, and that is the image of wisdom. So when we see our first sphere, the omnipresence at the center, then we see the image of wisdom, and we're able to solve our problems through that. When we actually sink into ourselves and merge with the omnipresent, then that is a unifying faculty. So the first sphere is about unification, and we recognize that our singularity at our deepest center is omnipresent, meaning that it's at the deepest center of everything else also. So we're unified with everything through that center. And you can think of that as kind of like the navel, the umbilical cord. Okay, then the 0 above the tree represents mystery and nothingness. So the 0, there is no 0 in the universe, and there is no nothingness in the universe, but there is those do occur in the Creator. So the 0 is not part of our universe, but it is part of the Creator. It's the part that the Creator reserves for itself, and so we only have indirect access to it, and so it's a mystery. Okay, now that's the 12, that's the intro to the 12 major aspects of the tree. Now, as I said, what I do then is I take all the 12 aspects of the tree and I kind of shrink it down, and then I apply it. I put a whole tree on the 4th sphere, and a whole tree on the 7th sphere, and a whole tree on the 9th sphere, and so on. So you divide up each sphere into its 12 minor aspects. So 12 and 12 and 12 and 12 and 12 adds up to a total of 144 different minor aspects. I've compiled those into a list that I would love to share with you. If you'd like to click the link in the description, I'll send you out for free a copy of the 144 minor aspects annotated, and that will help you if you watch multiple videos of mine, just to be able to have a sense of how they all fit together. Because I'm going through them in random order, but these are in order. And if you click the link in the description, what you get will be in order, and you'll be able to follow along a lot better. Now today, out of the 144 different fractal faculties or minor aspects of the tree, we're looking at number 71. What is the essence of justice? So as you might have guessed, and as I said before, we're talking about the fifth sphere here. The fifth sphere, karma, our sense of justice, the enforcement of the natural law, and based on violence, waste, and violation. And then we're also talking about the first sphere within the fifth sphere. So the first fractal of the fifth sphere. And the first sphere is about unification, omnipresence. It's about, merging with the Creator and merging with that singularity, and then being able to recognize that we are the same, as we are unified with every other being through this. So those two aspects are going to go together to form this number 71, which is called and justice for all, or I know what's best for me, but not you. Stage number 71 is about giving people justice through open-mindedness and empathy. I know what's best for me, but not you, so I won't judge you. Beginning of justice is being sincere with ourselves, recognizing our own errors, our own idiosyncrasies. When we recognize our own errors, we are on the path to triumph in life. Try not to criticize anyone. Whoever criticizes others is showing weakness, while the one who is critical of himself from moment to moment shows strength. Find the strength to be just. Try to see the best in all human beings. Giving someone else justice. Slam the gavel on ourselves. Try on the adversary's perspective for size. Punish, constrain, and regulate ourselves as we did others. Learn to separate, learn to abstract our identity from our analysis. The ability to be just relies on both analysis and synthesis. Have the strength to sacrifice for the well-being of others. Ignore the pressure, ignore the fear and the anger. Confess to our peers and our kin any injustices. Pay close attention to the feedback from our actions and decide for ourselves. Decode for ourselves what our karma consists of and what are our own karmic triggers. One humanitarian race. Recognize the divinity within us all. Namaste. Nonviolent army of one. Co-sovereignty. All right, that is the first fractal of the fifth sphere, number 71, and justice for all. And that is today's installment of the one of the 144 minor aspects of the Tree of Life. And this same thing will be happening tomorrow with a different fractal or a different minor aspect featured. So thank you for sticking around until the end. I will be again on tomorrow with a new one. And if you'd like to give your feedback, you can leave comments, constructive comments preferably. I mean, that doesn't mean they have to be positive, but you know, I don't think the personal attacks or anything like that are really useful. But constructive comments in the comment section. Also, you can click the like button. You can share the video with others. Subscribe to the channel. Click the link in the description to get the free guide to the 144 fractal faculties. And you can also donate directly to me through not PayPal, through Venmo and also Cash App that are listed in the description. Okay, well, I hope you have a beautiful day, and I hope to see you here again tomorrow.